Folks, thanks for tuning in. We'll be starting shortly.
Yo, 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 what is up? And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple. And if you're watching live, welcome in to Cover Your Balls, episode 27. And it's a packed episode today. I mean, when we talk about covering the balls, we're covering so many balls, I don't think you people are ready for it. I'm today's host, Mitch Balla, alongside.
I'm Jordan McKelly. Wearing a Captain Ant underpants shirt. That's what I'm doing.
No, I'm Sam Summers.
Oh, yeah.
Wearing a flannel.
Contributor Sam Summers is back, and I'm wearing a button-down shirt. I don't know if I'm showing too much skin, not enough skin. We'll let the chat decide that if you're watching live.
It's always not enough.
Always not enough? Okay, well, maybe we'll go button-down by every topic we cover today. First things first, though. Our viewers are rising, but our subscribers and likes aren't. So that means if you're tuning in, you need to subscribe to us. You need to like us, comment, let me know how much I suck, how much my takes suck. I'm used to it. I'll take the heat, but I'll deal with that at another time. Everybody, it's 4 o'clock, which means we have a top 4 at 4. And today's top 4, starting over with Jordan, is our top 4 athletes that would make the best president. Jordan, let's hear your top 4.
Wow. Well, guys, my list is pretty good. At number 4, I have Ray Lewis. To be a successful president of the United States, you need to be able to cover up murder. So Ray Lewis at number 4. At number 3, I have Kyrie Irving. Who wouldn't want to be a kid if Kyrie Irving was president? You never know. I mean, you make the decision if you have to go to school or not. Kyrie Irving at number 3. At number 2, I grew up idolizing a guy that made a fantastic grill. His name was George Foreman. George Foreman, thank you for all the special hamburgers my dad's made me throughout my lifetime on your grill. And at number 1 is Danica Patrick. Now you're probably thinking, Danica Patrick? Why Danica Patrick? Because she has gone 228 miles an hour in an Indy car. She's fearless. She's a badass, and she's my president of the future. It's my top 4 at 4.
Great list.
Thank you.
Fantastic list.
I'm so ready to hear Sam's list.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, coming in, I'll go top down. Coming in at number 1, I have former Baylor D lineman Sean Oakman. You may remember the Sean Oakman memes. Just a picture of him standing midfield, looking like a 6'8" monster.
He's terrifying.
When I think about a president, I want an iron fist. That's Sean Oakman. Coming in at number 2, I have Phil Jackson / Dennis Rodman. As we know, Dennis Rodman is I can't even pronounce the word. Dennis Rodman is a mediator, if you will, between the United States and North Korea. Phil Jackson is a fantastic coach, has worked with all sorts of personalities. When I think of Zen and peace, I think of Phil Jackson. Coming at number 3, a little bit of a switch up, I've got Ozzie Guillen, former White Sox manager Ozzie Guillen. He is from Venezuela, so he can't be the president of the United States. But he could be president of anything else. Ozzie Guillen is a fire rocket, a firecracker. He stands up for his team, and I rock with Ozzie Guillen. Finally, number 4, I have Greg Jennings. As you may remember from that 2006 Madden video, Greg Jennings puts the team on his back. Doesn't matter if the hardest hitting safety in the NFL, Darren Sharper, is coming after Greg Jennings. Greg Jennings is my number 4 president, and that's my top 4 at 4.
That's solid, Sam.
That's a phenomenal list, guys. And I'm happy that none of us had the same 4. So it just shows you how many great candidates there are. So I'll go from the top up, guys. At number 4 would be NFL linebacker Michael Kendricks, who is actually in a lot of legal trouble for insider trading. It just shows that he can get around a lot of stuff. I'm sure his VP could help him clean up his steps along the way, but you need a guy that can be a little bit sneaky. At number 3, though, guys, Vontez Burfict, former linebacker of the NFL. He instills fear in people. And that's what you want as a leader of a country. I mean, I don't think any other country would mess with the United States if Vontaze Burfict was our leader. That's all I know. At number 2, guys, I have Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey will roundhouse that ass if you mess with her at all. And I wouldn't want to mess with her if she was a leader. But guys,
she's a bad woman.
Little shocked here you guys didn't have who I have at number 1 because it was a no-brainer. Meta World Peace. His name is World Peace, wow, for goodness sakes. And that just tells you what type of world we'd be living in if Meta World Peace was the president of the United States of America. And just I drool at all the possibilities that would take place in the world and how peaceful it would be if Meta World Peace was our president. Who knows?
I expected him on one of your guys' lists.
2024.
Mitch, I expect you to have Tim Tebow on your list, Mitch. I don't know if you're saving him later in the show.
Well, he was at 5, and we're going to talk about him later in the show because now Tim Tebow, guys, he might be running for president sometime soon. But we'll discuss that later. You hope? Well, he's a good guy, great guy actually. But
he doesn't.
Before we get things off, before we start covering everyone's balls,
yes,
we have some big news, and we're going to throw it over to Sam to announce our new hashtag and what we'll be calling the listeners.
Oh yes, excuse me, pardon me. The listeners, I thought long and hard about this. I thought about you each. Individuals took your likes and interests into account. And so from now on, our listener group is called The Ball Pit. Hashtag The Ball Pit.
Well, that's fire. That's fire.
It is. It is. And Sam did come up with that on his own. He texted me Tuesday, and it was a no-brainer when he sent that to me. So everybody, when you tweeted us now, when you have questions for us, hashtag The Ball Pit. We will field those. We'll answer those in the following show. And it's going to be the way to get everybody connected a little more. So hashtag The Ball Pit on Twitter, on Facebook, maybe on your LinkedIn. And don't let people, think twice. You explain to them why it's The Ball Pit and why you're doing it, and they'll be okay. And if they're not, you're in the wrong place for employment. But yes, guys, besides the exciting news of The Ball Pit, let's give everybody in The Ball Pit what they're here for. And let's cover the balls. And starting out, Jordan, Fernando Tatis Jr., shortstop for the San Diego Padres, signed a 14-year extension worth over $340 million yesterday to stay in Southern California for the Padres. Little over $24 million a year for a 22-year-old, Jordan. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking this guy has barely played any baseball yet. How does he sign a contract for $340 million? How can you guarantee anything for one, like the following year, let alone 13 additional years after that? It's a ridiculous contract. This is just one snippet of what's wrong with the MLB, that a contract can get signed that is even this large while other baseball teams are playing with wooden nickels, and not much at all. I'm not surprised by this in terms of somebody getting this. I am surprised by who it is. 99% of baseball, like the casual fan, probably had no idea who this was, right? How many guys knew who he was before, yesterday, before this news came out? I bet you hardly anybody. I'm sure I won't be the only one surprised. Were you guys surprised?
Jordan, I was not surprised. You're exactly right. Baseball needs a salary cap. This is ridiculous. Teams like the Padres, the Yankees, the Red Sox, they're just going to continue. The Dodgers, they're just going to continue to dominate baseball year after year because their owners like to spend money, and they can spend endless amounts of money. But Fernando Tatis, he is a young star in the MLB. He is marketable, and he's a hell of a ball player. He scored from third base on a fly ball to second base this year. This is an investment from the Padres. Yeah, they're going to get their money back because of Tatis. He is a cash cow, and I'm excited for him. 22 years old, and you have almost $500 million. Good for you, Fernando.
Disgusting.
Yeah, this guy is the epitome of electricity in baseball right now, guys. A lot of people would consider Mike Trout or Mookie Betts the best player in baseball, and rightfully so. Both phenomenal players. And Tatis isn't the best player yet, but he is on that path. Playing in just the past 2 seasons, almost a full 162, guys. Sam, like you said, he hustles, he's fast, And he's making baseball fun again, which I have talked about in previous episodes. That's an issue. Rob Manfred is single-handedly trying to ruin the game of baseball, and Tatis is making it fun again. And he's broken some of the unwritten rules, which I, to a certain extent, love. Last year, pipping home runs and everything that people didn't agree with. So what? Make a better pitch. It's as simple as that. But guys, this is a great deal for the San Diego Padres. They locked up the cornerstone of their franchise until he is 36 years old. And for those wondering, how long, 14 years. Oh yeah, that's 2035. But let's put it in perspective. When this contract is up, he'll be 36 years old. Probably still have a little bit of baseball left in him. But Manny Machado, his counterpart, his teammate, his third baseman, will be 42 years old. He probably will be out of baseball. Mike Trout, perhaps the best player in the game right now, will be 43 years old.
Yeah.
Albert Pujols, one of the greatest hitters of all time and one of the most unstoppable forces in his prime, will be 55. LeBron James, the GOAT, will be 50. Tiger Woods will be 60. Tom Brady will be 57. Now, we don't know if he'll still be winning Super Bowls. We'll find out. It's just crazy to think that. Great deal for the Padres. I think Tatis Jr., if he stays on this trajectory, might regret this in about 5 years when he could perhaps be the highest paid player in baseball, but good for both sides. And I agree with you guys. There should be a salary cap in the MLB because the Padres alone, their infield alone, their catcher, first, second, shortstop, and third baseman, through all their deals, are going to make a combined $812 million.
That is absurd.
Wow.
Absurd. I like
That's
how
the infield?
Mm-hmm.
I like towards the end there you said, I think he might be upset that he signed this contract a little early. If you're upset after signing a $340 million contract, and you're upset, like, we get to put you on a special island only for you. You're done.
Hey, he doesn't need a special island. He's in Southern California with the babes. Great weather, great living place. I'm just saying, we know how greedy athletes can be, and I don't know Fernando. Maybe he's not greedy at all. But there's always that part of most athletes that want to be the highest paid player, and the trajectory he's on, he'll definitely want to be that. But listen, I wouldn't be mad signing for $340 million. Sam, would you be mad?
I would not be mad. I got that offer once, and I had to turn it down. Very tough decision. But you got to think, Tatis is going to be 34, 37, you said? I'll be 37. I'll be 37 in 14 years. That's weird to think about. But he's not going to be in his prime his whole entire contract. Mitch, you and I talked about this last night. So the Padres are, might be $24 million a year. But while he's really young, he's getting what he deserves. In his prime, he might not get exactly what he deserves. But when he starts to decline, he's still going to be racking in $24 million a year. He has a no trade clause. Tatis is in a great position. I mean, he's going to make hundreds of millions of dollars from ad revenue alone. He's that marketable. He's the next face of baseball. I think Mike Trout is kind of on his way out. People are disinterested with the Los Angeles Angels. So Fernando Tatis is next up.
Also the cover of MLB The Show 21 that will be coming out at the end of March, early April. Phenomenal game. I'll beat anybody in that game. Jordan.
Mitch.
Would you be mad for signing for $340 million?
Like the average player in some of these major league teams, like for baseball, basketball, and football, like the veteran minimum at one point is like $700,000. I'd sign for that. Okay. We wouldn't have to get to $340 million. I just don't understand how that's possible. Like, I did think that the signings would slow down, like, in the midst of a pandemic a little bit. I know business is business, but if business was business, baseball would have been able to get more than, 70 games in last year? So I thought this would slow this down a little. I didn't think that we'd continue to see some of these just incredibly large contracts. $340 million. It's absurd. I'd sign for... Oh, man, we did the math. What was Trevor Bauer? Trevor Bauer was making, for his second year, and they're making similar money, right? I mean, it's ridiculous regardless. Was making $123,000 a day. A day. That meant that this guy sleeps and makes more than we do for an entire year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little depressed. I might have to leave now. No, seriously, that's absurd money. Absurd. Are you guys surprised that, these contracts keep rolling out? Because I am. I didn't think, like, even right now, like, with our like, we have no fans. Like, how can you justify these prices? Like, something has to, like, give at some point, right?
Sam, I'll let you go first.
I'm not surprised at all. I mean, if there's no salary cap, this is just going to continue to happen. I feel like, in my memory at least, Robinson Cano was really, I mean, he got 10 years, 200, 400, I forget how many hundreds of millions he got from the Seattle Mariners. But and that contract did not work out at all. He signed that contract. He forgot how to play baseball. At least Tatis is 22 years old. I think this is the smart move. You know, we just traded Francisco Lindor because we couldn't sign him 3 years ago. You know, if we signed him when he was still on his rookie deal, perhaps we could pay him $18 million and he'd still be a Cleveland Indian. But now we're paying him nothing. He's in New York, and the Indians have no money at all. So this is the smart move from the Padres. I think this is going to set the tone for the future of baseball.
He's no Tony Gwynn. Okay, guys, you guys just think you can replace Tony Gwynn. You can't. All right, this guy will be a bust. He's going to be the biggest bust ever. And it'll be history.
I don't know about that.
Are you serious? He's in Tony Gwynn's shadow. Tony Gwynn, the great Tony Gwynn. Have a lot of his baseball cards.
He's creating his own shadow.
Gwynn. Do you know how many
creating his own shadow?
Do you know how
I think Tony Gwynn's dead.
He definitely is. He's definitely not alive anymore. But big shadow. I don't think he gets past his shadow. I think that's where this conversation ends. Almost. Tony Gwynn.
All I'll say is this: I'm not surprised by the contract. It's because there is no salary cap. These owners have other streams of income from other revenue. TV revenue last year was absurd, and it makes you think how much higher this contract could have been if the MLB would not have been affected by COVID last year. It'll be interesting now, though, and Sam, you and I were talking about this last night, to see what kind of deal Francisco Lindor gets. Is he going to get more than Fernando Tatis Jr.? Is it going to be the same? He's in a big market, too, in New York that has lots of money. Steve Cohen, the new owner, already said he will spend whatever he has to win. A deal like this often sets up future deals for other players. So I'm very intrigued to see what happens. But something else I'm intrigued to see what happens is other teams in the MLB, like we said, no salary cap. They can do what they want. But the Baltimore Orioles, guys, they're a bad baseball team. They're a young baseball team.
How bad, though?
So bad, Jordan, that Fangraphs via MLB.com gave them a 0.0% chance to make the playoffs this year. Not even a 0.1% chance, a 0.0% chance to make the playoffs, which, one, I've never seen that before until you're mathematically eliminated. The season hasn't started yet. What do you make of that?
I mean, clearly it's Cal Ripken's fault, and I know that you guys were probably going to say it, but I'm going to say it first. I don't think he's given back to Baltimore enough. And, this is where we're at, where they have a 0% chance to win. No, Baltimore is a smaller team like the Indians are. They're never going to have a chance to win, maybe again. Few teams do. They don't have a well-run organization anyways. So their chances of doing what the Indians have done, which is take a whole bunch of young players and build them up, is not something I don't think they're capable of doing. 0% chance sounds pretty close to what I would give them. So 0% is good.
Yeah, I'm looking at the roster right now of the Baltimore Orioles. And I think a 0% chance is very generous. I have never heard of any of these guys before. You got Ryan Mountcastle, Jemiah Jones,
last name.
Anthony Santander, Cedric Mullins. I mean, players I've never heard of before. I don't think Baltimore has many fans. I mean, I have never watched the Baltimore Orioles game in its entirety. If they're playing the Indians, I wouldn't even watch. Probably because the Indians will get beat by 14, 13, 2 games in a row by the worst team in baseball. But I don't know. I don't care about the Orioles. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this at all. I think it's a bit disrespectful, but if you look at the roster, it's pretty spot on.
Yeah, it is a bit disrespectful. I will agree. But I mean, even just a 1% chance. Just give them like a 0.0% chance. Exactly. There's always a chance. We've seen crazy things happen in all sports, right?
Oh my God.
I mean, this might, if the Orioles made the playoffs this year, it might be the craziest thing we've ever seen, because I don't know if a team with a guy whose last name is Mountcastle should be making the playoffs. But I'm just a little shocked that they gave him 0.0% chance. And the Orioles did tweet that they took it personally, which means that I'm assuming that they're going to win 52 games now instead of 51. We'll have to see how that transpires out in the regular season. But a low blow by the MLB, a low blow to a small market team in the MLB.
You never say you take it personally up front. You wait to see if you succeed first, then you said, well, we took that personally. You don't say it up front. That's why, see, they don't even know how to play the game. They can't even make it to the field.
They're too worried about winning Twitter than winning baseball games.
Exactly.
Well, I want to know who's the guy that gave them a 0.0% chance, because he should have to put something on the line. If you're going to say the Orioles have a 0% chance of making the playoffs, you should put up your left pinky. If you have a child, maybe put them up. I mean, 0.0, if you're going to be that disrespectful, at least put something behind it. I mean, I will say if the Orioles make the playoffs, I will cut off my left pinky. I'll say it right now, and hopefully I don't have to do it.
You won't do it.
I probably won't do it, but I'm just going to say it. I have no repercussions whatsoever for saying it. If the Orioles make the playoffs, I will cut off a left pinky. Didn't specify mine, so.
Yeah, I was going to say, he didn't say his. He said a left pinky. So everybody out there, if the Orioles make it, you better just keep those pinkies in tight and stay away from Sam Summers, folks.
Thank God.
Oh, man. Well, I kind of hope the Orioles make the playoffs now just to see what would happen. But, guys, let's talk about another team around that area. The Washington Wizards have won 3 in a row. With not top 15 player Bradley Beal. But, guys, Bradley Beal scores a lot on the court, leads the league in scoring.
Yeah.
But, guys, more importantly, he is scoring off the court. Just a big round of applause for Bradley Beal. Congrats on the sex, my guy. His wife tweeted at him last night that she's ready to go half and half on another baby. So just listen, Bradley Beal, you're doing something right, man.
Well done. Well done. That's, you love to see it. I don't know if you guys caught this, but he was what do you call that? The ball boy? He was the ball boy for the basketball game the other day. He was underneath the bleachers.
Yeah, he was.
You can't win on his team, but he seems like he'd be a nice guy to go to shoot around with, do anything but play basketball with, really. Yeah, but the Wizards are playing really well. They're on a multiple game winning streak ever since you and I started just trashing them publicly. And we all know, we saw America read it, which is why, so many people are tuning in to listen to what we have to say to now. They will still be a bottom 3 team in the East at the end of the season. He is, Bradley Beal plays on the Wizards because he is a wizard. He is a smoke show. All these points, no wins. What kind of wizard are you, Bradley Beal? You can't even get a win. This is the best we'll see the Wizards all year. All year.
I don't know if you remember from the 2019 Raptors playoff run. If you remember when Fred VanVleet had his son, could have been a daughter. I don't know. I think it was a son. All of a sudden, he couldn't miss. Who knows what this means for Bradley Beal? He's fucking. He's having sex. He has a hot wife. I mean, he's got Russell Westbrook. Who knows what's going to go? Who knows what's happening next? Does this put Bradley Beal in your top 15, Mitch?
Ooh. Oh, I mean, he's definitely left, below top 20. He is now inside the top 20. Just because he goes public. A lot of people keep their stuff private. I respect some people who put things on the line and let people into their personal life. And him and his wife are very open about it. That's why I'm out here saying congrats on the sex, brother. I mean, listen, he's getting buckets. They're starting to win some games. He did get the ball the other night, Jordan, but sources tell me that he was actually just trying to get out of Washington. He was actually trying to get to LA and play with the GOAT LeBron James. But unfortunately, there was no tunnel that led from under the bleachers to LA. He ended up back in Washington. So now it's just kind of a mess. That's why they had the kid. They thought they were going to have a nice house out in Bel Air, maybe live in LeBron's guest house out there. Unfortunately, we will have to see if he gets traded now. But you know what? Bradley Beal's making a case. Still not top 15 yet for me, though.
I mean, all he's doing is doing what he's done the whole year. I mean, he hasn't changed up anything. He's been scoring by the gobs all year. He's never stopped doing that. They're just finally, I mean, by luck at some point, even as my dad says, even a blind squirrel finds an acorn, right? At some point the Wizards were going to naturally get a win. I mean, the Cavs have like 9 wins, so miss me on that Bradley Beal win and stuff. The Cavs still have more wins than them, and they have Darius Garland on their team. Okay, Darius Garland and Cedi Osman. Okay, so miss me on the Bradley Beal stuff. They have to get into playoff contention before I think we start taking him seriously. I forget what NBA analyst last year, but there was one specific NBA analyst that had Bradley Beal, second team All-NBA. His team was like 27 or 28 games below 500. He has to put the Wizards in playoff contention before we start talking about how great he is, because if you can't make the playoffs in the East, you're not good, let alone great, right?
Facts.
Mm-hmm. That was probably Paul Pierce.
The truth?
Yeah, that was probably Paul Pierce who had him second All-NBA.
Paul Pierce says anything but the truth for being a guy named the truth. He actually spoke a lot of facts about a guy who used to play on the Celtics and now plays for the Nets, and we've talked about him a lot. So Kyrie Irving, welcome back to Cover Your Balls. I know you took a little bit of a hiatus from us, but guys, Kyrie Irving is in his feelings again.
Always is.
Kyrie Irving was offended the other night when he did not play in Phoenix and entered the arena with a walking stick, Jordan. He was upset that people called it a walking stick or cane because it was actually a Native American prayer stick. I don't know what else to say about this. Just go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if there is much. I mean, this is the least surprised I am about anything that we're going to be talking today. And I know that there's some headlines I haven't even heard yet, and I can confidently say that. If you look at the side of my Jeep, it has Jeep written across it. I'm not going to lie. I question if he had prayer stick actually written on his prayer stick. How would we know that this ordinary stick that you're walking around with would be a prayer stick? I think you need to identify that in the future. By the way, Kyrie is actually kind of taking the back seat to James Harden a little bit, in my opinion. Maybe not in other people's opinion. I love the Nets right now. I know that we went through our power rankings on Tuesday, but for some reason, I think that they're arguably the best team right now. So keep bringing your prayer stick to every game. Bring it to every game. I don't do all the seance stuff you need to do. Black magic. Do whatever you need to do, Kyrie. And tonight at 10 p.m., guys, we have Kyrie versus LeBron. I'll just leave it there. I'll let you run with that. Oh, man.
I do not know. I'm excited for Kyrie versus LeBron. This is just a day on the town for Kyrie Irving. I know his mother has Native American ties, so I'm not going to make fun of him. He needs that prayer stick because I hereby curse Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, I curse you for the rest of your career. Wish you nothing but minor inconveniences, my friend. I don't know if you guys saw the video. It was when the Nets played the Suns and James Harden went on a tear, tied the game, hit the go-ahead bucket. Kevin Durant gave a little celebration shove to Kyrie Irving, and Kyrie Irving looked like a plastic bag floating through the wind. He's so light, he almost fell over, tripped, tore an ACL. Who knows? Kevin Durant, who knows? He might be trying to take out Kyrie Irving.
I like that. I like where you're going with this. Makes sense.
It does make sense now that I'm thinking about it, and just it makes you, man, there's a lot of things going on that we don't know about that we're gonna have to get deeper into. I'm tired of Kyrie Irving being offended by everything. He's probably offended that I'm calling him Kyrie Irving and not Mr. Irving. Kyrie, I'm not sorry. I think you need to be more worried that Sam Summers, little base god, just cursed you. And we'll have to see what happens now. Like you said, Jordan, they have a big game against Lake Show. Some big games coming up. We'll have to see how it performs after Sam Summers just issued the minor inconvenience curse on Kyrie Irving.
Beware.
Beware. Guys, let's stay in the NBA with one more.
Okay.
And talk about the team the Nets are going to play, the Lakers.
Yeah.
Where LeBron James is doing things off the court again. And this time, he's prepared to make a documentary around Bronny Jr. and his teammates at Sierra Canyon High School on the basketball team. Jordan, do you think LeBron's just tired of winning? Is LeBron just ready to move on to bigger and better things now?
I think he just wants to have his hand involved in everything. I think like most, you're not going to like this, but most people at that level, I have to believe are narcissistic a little bit. He has to. I feel like he wants to be involved in that to have his name on it a little bit. I love LeBron. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like that's one of the worst things you could do is bring yourself into his son's forefront a little more. Like, it doesn't seem like he's standing in the shadows at all. It seems like he wants to be on the court with Bronny, which I don't like personally at all. It's very LeVar Ballish, and I'm not about that. Very LeVar Ballish. So, not where you thought I was going to take that, but he needs to calm down on this and just let his son live like a normal kid, because he'll never get it again. I don't know why you would make a documentary about some high school team. I don't know how many people are going to watch. Actually, probably everybody's going to watch that. Never mind. I'm a moron for saying that. Will you guys watch that if he makes a documentary about Bronny?
I don't think I'd watch it. I'm not surprised by the move from LeBron. This is a pretty prototypical LeBron move. It's going to, generate millions of dollars. So how can I blame him? I've seen cameras around high school boys basketball before, and it doesn't work out well. LeBron should be careful. LeBron actually tweeted last night. I thought this was a funny tweet, so I'll read it on air. It says, "My love for music is insane. I think I'm going to do an album. Oh no, I won't be rapping or anything like that. I'm not crazy. I know what I'm great at. But I'll tell you one thing. I do have so many friends that can. Thinking out loud." Meant to say loud, but he did a little typo there. Classic LeBron typo.
No college. It's okay.
Yeah, I wish Bronny well. He has, over 1 million followers now on Instagram, so his life will never be normal again. That cat's already out in the bag. He's smoking big joints on Instagram Live, smoking that Nuggets pack.
Bronny smoking these big joints, or the cat?
Oh, yeah.
I thought the cat in the bag was doing it.
No. Bronny. He did when LeBron was in the bubble. Everyone was like, LeBron's going to get out of the bubble and whoop Bronny's ass. That was the popular meme going around the town for a while. But whatever. I hope Bronny's great. I hope he's a Cavalier. So I wish nothing but the best for LeBron and the whole fam.
Guys, this is probably one of the first times that I've disagreed with LeBron on a few different things, but this is the guy who came out and said one regret he has in his life is naming his son after him, putting immense pressure on him. So what's he going to go do now? He's going to go make a documentary about him while he's in high school. Like, LeBron, that's more pressure on the son you already said you put too much pressure on. Guys, I don't know if I'm connecting the dots right now. I don't know if I'm carrying the one. I'm not good at math, but it just seems like not a good decision. I'll watch it. I usually watch anything sports related. And maybe it'll be good. I mean, they're a hell of a basketball team. That's a fact. They have a lot of D1 players, a lot of kids that are going D1 in college basketball. Yeah. And I might as well watch Bronny, future Cavalier, speak it into existence. So it's just kind of an odd move. I think LeBron may be just tired of, winning of being so great, Jordan. I told you he is now in 1,025 consecutive games scored double-digit points, which is by far the most
absurd.
In the NBA. Second all-time is the second greatest player ever, Michael Jordan, at 866. I was actually really caught off guard that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wasn't, 2 or ahead of LeBron before he broke this record. He was 3. And just a quick shout out to any of the Instagram haters that went on my profile yesterday to come at me, that possibly are tuned in right now to try to roast me again, that I offended yesterday. You Jordan fans are hilarious. I am rent-free in your head, and it is a riot. I enjoy it. So if you guys made it on here to watch me today, thank you. And you're wrong. We can move on now.
But who are all these haters?
I left one opinion yesterday on ESPN's post on Michael Jordan. I said, second greatest of all time, no questions asked. And I had 37 different people come at me. I still had people this morning at 6 a.m. when I was at the gym trying to work out coming at me. Like, don't tell me I'm not rent free in your head if you're going to reply to a comment 24 hours later. And then 2 of them DM'd me.
I want to know if the reason. So when I hadn't seen the message for a day, and you told me to go look on Instagram. When I looked, it was the top message with 44 replies. 44. Come on, Mitch. Don't make all these 15-year-olds upset out there.
That's
because that's what I don't understand is most of the people who believe Michael Jordan's better than LeBron are people who've actually never watched a full Michael Jordan game, let alone 2, 3, 5, 10. I'm like, you said that earlier, and you're 100% right. There's a lot of people who've never watched him, and they just want to say he's better. I don't know why.
And Sam, like for context to this and for our listeners and viewers, I had 2 of them DM me. And so the one sent me a highlight video and said, here, I thought you could use this to prove that Jordan's better. And I said, well, highlight videos, just don't count. And he goes, why? Because Jordans are better than LeBron's. I said, dude, you're 15. You've never even watched Michael Jordan play an actual game of basketball. And he didn't reply. It's comical. Listen, I think it gave us some good pub for the show. They went on my profile, read my bio, saw I had a podcast, started roasting the podcast in the DMs and on the post. So I'll take it. Any publicity is good publicity. So I'll take it.
We roast this show all the time, though. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the club.
Sam, have you roasted the show yet?
I've not roasted the show yet. I'll have to get on that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because this show sucks.
It's not great.
I did call out O.J. Simpson last night.
Oh.
We did see that you – yeah.
This seems like a great time to hear that story and then perhaps get some of your headlines for today, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what. I was watching the O.J. Simpson documentary with my roommate.
Which one? Hold on. Which one? Are we talking about the one with the guy from Friends in it? With Cuban Gooding Jr. being O.J. Or are we talking about the actual?
It was the reenactment one, the biopic.
It's unbelievable.
O.J. Simpson, whatever. Yeah, it's a great one. That's the second time I've watched it.
Me too.
We followed up with a YouTube hole of O.J. Simpson. We did a little O.J. It was an interview where he basically he recounted the murder. Hypothetically, though, he referenced his book.
If I did it.
So I took to Twitter. I was like, you know what? I can't let this stand. I called him out, challenged him to an Oklahoma drill. I'll fight him at Rough and Rowdy. I'd love to fight O.J. Simpson. That would be hilarious. Shining moment for my career. He's 71, so I may have a chance. Most likely, he'd destroy me.
Would you fight him if the only venue I could get for the fight was a Bojangles?
Oh yeah, even more so. That would just add to the excitement. I don't know. I mean, he's been vaccinated. I couldn't believe it that we're just giving away precious vaccines to brutal murderers. Like, what is this? America's favorite killer. I guess it pays to be O.J. Simpson.
The juice. He's the juice.
Yeah, the juice is loose.
The juice
is loose.
What?
Oh, man.
He's the only athlete that everybody knows for a fact that he murdered someone. And there's like 70% of the world's okay with it and think he's just a cool old guy. And 30% of the world's like, this guy's a murderer. I'm in that 70%. Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know why. When he got on Twitter a couple months
too.
I almost bought an O.J. Simpson jersey from China last year. It was a weird year last year, so don't come at me for that. I made a lot of decisions last year. Might not have in a real year. 2020 was crazy. But I almost bought an O.J. Simpson jersey. I think I'm going to have to go ahead and do that. I think it needs to be done. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. And Sam, we'll keep it with you. Go ahead and give us some of your big headlines you have today.
Oh, my big headlines? Well, I'll tell you what. My headlines today are brought to you by stevesartshack.com. California-based artist with Midwest ties. He's a fellow Kent State Golden Flash.
Oh, that's a real person.
Yes, this is if you've ever seen my Twitter account, Sam and Steve Exotic, at GoFlashes69. He's the Steve. Link in the bio. Visit this well-designed website. Check out his prints, t-shirts, hats. He'll even do some custom artwork for you. Forget donating to charity. Forget the hungry. Go buy Steve's art at stevesartshack.com. And I'll tell you what, today's headlines, I got a few. Texas Senator Ted Cruz, Uncle Ted.
Teddy.
As we know, Texas is frozen. Texas is going to shit. I feel really bad for Texas. You got millions of people hungry, freezing. He flies to Cancun with the whole family.
Sounds like
one day later, he's getting ripped apart. People are just going after Ted Cruz for flying away during a crisis. So today he flew home, flew back to Texas. So Ted Cruz, small balls, grow a pair. If you're going to go to Cancun, stay in Cancun. What are you doing, man? We have some pretty interesting news. This is out of NASA. The new Mars rover landed on Mars today. I don't know what they're looking for in Mars, but that's pretty cool. Maybe they'll find something cool. It's ran off of nuclear fission power. So if there's a dust storm, the solar energy on the Mars rover won't give out. So little nuke on Mars for you. My last one is we have reporter, 76ers reporter, doing a post-game interview from his bed. He was asking Doc Rivers a question, and Doc goes, "Jackson, are you in bed right now?" Jesus Christ, are you kidding me? And he's joking around. Doc wasn't mad, but this is peak 2021. Very funny headline. And that's all I got for you.
Those are some good headlines. I have a couple other ones.
Those are solid.
Some small ones. Really today we've been covering the big headlines in our show, but I got some, tidbits and everything. If you're just joining us right now, we talked about Fernando Tatis Jr. and his contract extension, but guys, we need to talk about something else, and that's Bobby Bonilla, who, if you're unfamiliar with Bobby Bonilla, he played Major League Baseball. He's of Puerto Rican descent. He played 16 years in the pros with the New York Mets, guys, and they cut him. And since 2011, Bonilla has been paid approximately $1.19 million by the Mets each July 1st. And he will continue.
I thought you meant all time. I thought you meant total for a second. I was like, how's that possible?
Oh, no. He will continue, guys, which means he's still getting paid every July 1st. He will get paid $1.19 million 1 year after Fernando Tatis's contract expires.
I love when
July 1st is known as Bobby Bonilla Day across the sports world. So Bobby Bonilla may not be making as much, but he's still making money every day. And I don't even know what he's doing right now. He might just be chilling with his feet up with a cocktail. I mean, who knows? But just I need to put that in perspective. Staying in the baseball world, Indians ace and former AL Cy Young Award winner Shane Bieber does have COVID. He will be quarantined from the Indians. Pitchers and catchers reported yesterday in Arizona. So that's another one to watch out. His catcher, his battery mate, Roberto Perez, is down 15 pounds after the end of last season. Interesting to see what that does for him, if it helps him offensively, maybe. He's already one of the best defensive catchers, if not one of the top 2 defensive catchers in all baseball. Just something to keep your eye on and look at, guys. And then we're going to talk football here, but first, let's just talk about some controversy that rapper Meek Mill has found himself in, guys. Meek Mill had a song leaked, and it has the NBA community outraged. And the lyrics are, and I quote, I'm not saying this because I want to. I'm saying this so our listeners and viewers understand what it says. And I quote, I'm not even going to read all of it because it's very vulgar.
I don't even know what it says, so please.
I'm going to, because I'm quoting it. This bitch, I'm blanking, always tells me that she loves me, but she ain't never showed me. And if I ever lack, I'm going out with my chopper. It'll be another Kobe. NBA community and Kobe fans are outraged at that, making a reference to Kobe, tragically dying in a helicopter in January of 2020. Guys, what do you think of this?
Is he in jail? Like, can we address that first? I don't know.
He's out.
Okay.
He's out.
What did he go to jail for?
He was with Robert Kraft. He got out, went to the Pats game, was hanging out with Robert Kraft a couple of years ago, I think.
No way.
Yes, he was. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Love to hear it. Hey, maybe that's how Robert Kraft got introduced to that handshake parlor down south.
They're getting their buttholes fingered together.
Oh my God! I sure hope not. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't, especially after that comment. I'm going to tell you guys something. You guys are going to hate me for this. I can't name a Meek Mill song at all. Maybe I've caught him on a feature. Maybe. What does this mean? I'm not sure what this means. I have no idea.
I'm not a Meek Mill guy myself. I'm not above dark humor. I'm a pretty big dark humor guy. I think, tragedy plus time equals comedy.
Yeah, it does.
This isn't enough time. I mean, so many people died in that crash. Families, lost both of their parents. People lost daughters, husbands, so on and so forth. That's in poor taste, Meek Mill. It's not even that great of a line. If it was better, maybe I'd give you the pass, but it's very subpar. That's mid-verse. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah, I'm right there with Sam. On the dark humor, on everything he just said, I'm right there. Poor taste, not even a good line. And if it was, like Sam said, maybe you can make a case for it. Just a bad look for Meek Mill in general.
Was
but
he
not
trying to be funny, though, with the line?
That's what I'm...
I don't think he's trying to be funny. I think he's trying to, saying, I'm going to go off.
And here's the thing. Kobe is from Pennsylvania, near Philly. Yeah. So is Meek Mill, trying to, reference that, he still remembers Kobe some way? Or Meek Mill is a 76ers fan. Kobe beat the Sixers and AI in the finals. Is this a shot at Kobe since Kobe can't rebuttal now for beating the Sixers in the final? I don't know.
What we could do? We could actually just ask Meek Mill. We could just ask him what he meant by it. That'd be crazy to actually ask the person instead of assume, but we should just...
We don't do that nowadays. Nobody does that nowadays. They see one thing and they go with it. And that's what we're going to do here on Cover Your Balls.
Yeah, that's... Got to follow the trends.
Yep. Just one more before we get back into some big topics, guys.
Yeah.
Michigan quarterback Joe Milton has entered the transfer portal with 3 years remaining of eligibility, guys. Is this a bad look on Jim Harbaugh losing his quarterback?
Sam, roll with it.
When was Jim Harbaugh's last good look? I mean, Michigan's been horrible for the past few years. He hasn't beaten Ohio State yet. I guess he made the Super Bowl, 10 years ago at this point? I don't know. I feel bad for Michigan. It's just really sad. I love the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. I love tuning into that game every single year, but now it's just a shit fest. Ohio State beats the shit out of Michigan, and Michigan, they ran away from this year. Ryan Day said what? They were going to beat them by 100, and I think Ohio State was going to beat them by 100. I don't believe they had a COVID outbreak. Michigan, I don't know, thoughts and prayers to the team up north. Good luck. I hope we get some competition in a few years because it's just getting old. And I'll tell you what, Dustin Crum and the Kent State Golden Flashes, Michigan, you come down to Dick's Stadium, you're going to get your ass beat.
Facts.
It kind of makes me even sadder than you sound, Sam, because I don't like Jim Harbaugh, but I'm competitive, right? And so I don't like one thing that makes it hard to watch the Ohio State football team sometimes is we play teams that are just so beneath us that it's just kind of like watching a varsity high school game, right? Because the athletes they're not the same. They're just not. It's different. You want your rivalry to be a rivalry. You want to be able to lose even when you're number one in the country and they're unranked. That has always been possible in college football, impossible in this rivalry, and it's not anymore. And I don't think Jim Harbaugh is going to get over this. This is a bad look. I don't know. Joe Milton didn't look that good to me, but we're in a COVID year. A lot of people didn't look good. I shouldn't feel bad for Michigan, but I do because it may Michigan being good would be better for Ohio State. Mm-hmm. And whatever is in our best interest, I want. And so I always cheer for Michigan. However, I have found myself cheering against them when I've seen them in some pretty awful situations the last couple of years. But man, this is not good for Michigan at all. And they just signed Harbaugh to a 4-year extension a month and a half ago. Guys, this is going to keep getting worse. It's not going to get better.
Honestly, I love it. I love it. They suck. I'd never root for Michigan. I hope they lose every game by 30. It's time for someone to step up and give Ohio State a challenge. So maybe that's Indiana. Indiana looks pretty legit now with Tom Allen over there. So yeah, Michigan, I hope you lose every game you ever play the rest of your life in any sport, really. And there's a big one coming up on Sunday between our Buckeyes and the Michigan Wolverines in college basketball, which honestly has the potential to be the game of the year. Number 3 in the country, number 4 in the country. We'll definitely, break that down in episode 28 when that happens, but just something to keep your eye on as the weekend gets here, guys. But let's talk money again. We started the show with money, so let's start the second half of the show with money. And let's talk about the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to carry $33.8 million of dead money cap. Why? Because they traded Carson Wentz today to the Indianapolis Colts for a 3rd-round pick and a conditional 2nd-round pick, guys, that could become a 1st-rounder if Carson Wentz plays 75% of the snaps or plays 70% of the snaps and the Indianapolis Colts make the playoffs. I feel like if you trade for a guy like this, he's going to play every game as long as he's healthy. So it looks like, guessing right now, it looks like the Eagles are going to get a 1st and 3rd out of this, but as of now, it's a 2nd and 3rd. But the Eagles now have the largest dead money charge in NFL history, and the previous record was held by the Rams just a month ago. The previous record was $22.2 million for when they traded Jared Goff to the Lions, guys. Both of these quarterbacks were drafted in the 2016 draft. And with that trade, not a single quarterback drafted in the 1st round from 2009 to 2016 is with his original team. And it's not a small sample size. That's 22 different quarterbacks. That's the end of my headlines. Let's dive into it. What do you make of the trade today of Carson Wentz to the Colts, Jordan?
Mixed feelings, because when I first heard about the trade, I thought, what a bad trade for both teams. And then I immediately thought of it on the other side of things. If I'm Carson Wentz, how am I feeling today? Carson Wentz is the closest thing to Bernie Madoff we've seen in over a decade. Talk about somebody who's able to deceive people, gain capital gain, and get to pick where they work. Who gets to pick where they work, make a ton of money, and then piss an entire fan base off in the process? Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz doesn't deserve any of the money he's getting. I almost want to say that the Colts won the trade, but the thing about that is that's assuming Frank Richt, who is his past offensive coordinator, when he won 13 games with the Eagles, can turn things around for Carson Wentz. Once you learn bad habits, it's really hard to unlearn. We're really going to find out how great of a teacher is Frank Richt at the Indianapolis Colts. They didn't give hardly anything up to get Carson Wentz other than taking his contract. They're giving up a 3rd-round pick, a 2nd-round pick that can turn into a 1. If I have to pick somebody who wins it, it has to be the Colts, because I have more belief in that organization because it's well-run than I do in the Eagles organization. I'm going to say the Colts won this trade, but overall, the winner's Carson Wentz. He gets out of an organization that doesn't want him anymore. He gets paired with somebody who he's had success with before, and he has a complete team around him. The Eagles and the Colts, I don't know if they won or lost, but Carson Wentz 100% won. That is one of the only things that I know on this Thursday, is that Carson Wentz is probably the luckiest guy in the entire world right now. And he shouldn't be.
I'm very intrigued to see Carson Wentz in Indianapolis. I'm not going to say I'm rooting for him because they're competition at this point. The Colts are a good ball team, so the Browns will probably be battling with them at some point. I think Carson Wentz has the potential to be a solid NFL quarterback. I don't think he's as horrible as it seems. I think Philly was a really bad situation for him last year, but Carson's been all IR basically every year he's been in the league. He won a Super Bowl with his torn ACL. The Eagles got the Super Bowl. They're going to be down for a few years, but they got the Super Bowl. That $33 million in dead space is worth a Super Bowl championship, in my opinion. I wouldn't know. The Browns haven't won one. They're not going to win one for at least a few more months, maybe a year. Who knows? But yeah, I'm happy for Carson. I'm happy for the Eagles. Both of them can move on. It was a toxic relationship. If the Eagles can figure out their head coaching situation, that would be good for them, but the guy they have now isn't very good at speaking, as we saw. So I'll be interested to see how these teams do this year.
Guys, the real winner of this trade, the Cleveland Browns, who could have drafted Carson Wentz in 2016 and got obliterated by the media, obliterated by fans and other franchises across the NFL, specifically Paul DePodesta, who was just flamed for saying Carson Wentz wasn't a top 20 quarterback. Guys, the Browns look like geniuses now for getting out of that, grabbing the picks they did, which ultimately, helped us draft the likes of some of the guys we have on our team now. I don't know who exactly, but
you said we're geniuses now because we didn't pick somebody who sucks.
Finally, we didn't. Listen, come on. What is the most Cleveland Browns thing we could have done? Drafting Carson Wentz.
Well, hold on here, Mitch.
Right?
Hold on here. Hear me out. If we drafted Carson Wentz in 2016, he would have been throwing to Andrew Hawkins, Terrell Pryor, Ricardo Lewis, and Gary Barnidge, handing off to Isaiah Crowell, and standing behind the likes of Alvin Bailey and Austin Pasture.
That's a Super Bowl team.
That's a Super Bowl team. That's a mistake.
The Crow in the backfield? The Crow?
The Crow.
The Crow prior to his ridiculous comments was the man, okay?
Guys, come on. It's the Browns. Listen, the Colts get a quarterback that isn't going to take them over the top. The Colts needed a quarterback, and it's going to be, like you said, Jordan, we'll have to see how great of a teacher Frank Richt is. But Carson Wentz did ball out the year he was in MVP contention until he tore his ACL in LA against the Rams, I believe. They had 13 wins, and then Frank Richt leaves for Indianapolis. So no coincidence there that once he left, Carson Wentz just dropped off. Now he does have injury issues. I won't, ignore that. I mean, ACL injury is tough enough, but he's had other injuries that have plagued him the past few years. This is a good move for the Colts. Listen, you don't take much of that contract on. The Eagles now, I was thinking about this, though, about that second conditional pick. What if what if the Colts, let's say Carson Wentz gets hit and, breaks a rib and he's out for 3 weeks, and the Colts have a playoff spot locked up. Or no, because he would still get it. Like, what happens if it's a winner get in game and the Colts don't like where they're at and they just bench Carson Wentz to save the first round pick? There's a possibility they could still screw the Eagles over if certain things fall a certain way next year in the NFL. But guys, good for Carson Wentz, I guess. This is a move that had to be done. And for the people out there that thought they were going to get a haul like what the Lions got for Matt Stafford, you're fools. There was no way. Matt Stafford is way better than Carson Wentz, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm not shocked because I knew this was coming, but I just don't know how to feel about it.
Well, it's not going to change anything because this doesn't, like you said, honestly, he's considerably worse than Phillip Rivers. This doesn't make them a better football team. Honest to God, all it does is makes me more unsure about them because I could predict when Phillip Rivers is going to turn the ball over like most people can. He turns the ball over a lot in certain situations, at least. Carson Wentz turns it over every situation is an opportunity for me to gift basket you the football. Like, just straight gift basket. Like, you don't even have to put a ticket in for the raffle. I'll just give it to you. Like, that's Carson Wentz. It makes them considerably worse. It's a terrible – I don't like the decision. I don't think that he's going to be able to undo anything. It's great for the Browns. It's fantastic for the Browns, really. It's really fantastic for everybody else because the Colts, with the right quarterback, could have been a Super Bowl favorite, and now they chose to not be a Super Bowl favorite with this move. And thank you, Indianapolis. Just thank you. Thank you. It's a big shout out.
Yeah, I mean, they're a playoff contender at best. I think they'll make the playoffs, but here's basically we traded all the picks away the Eagles gave us, continue to trade them. Turned into the likes of Denzel Ward, Jabril Peppers, who became OBJ. Also gave us moments with Corey Coleman, Sean Kaiser, Antonio Callaway, Cody Kessler, Chad Thomas. Spencer Durango. I mean, guys I've never even heard of before. So, I'm glad we passed on Wentz. We got to enjoy some Deshaun Kaiser play.
Yeah, he's probably the worst Browns quarterback I've ever watched. I've never watched a game more. I've never wanted to, never been one of those guys. Everybody knows the guy who plays Madden, gets so mad because he's a moron, he just throws his controller against the wall. Never been that guy. Watching him play the quarterback position has made me want to throw many things through the screen. Thank God we're out of that era. That was worse than the no, I can't say that. Can't say watching him was worse than the pandemic, but it was.
It's pretty bad.
It was pretty bad. Pretty equal. But it wasn't as bad as watching Tim Tebow play quarterback, the guy that slayed the Steelers in the first round.
I know.
And then said, you know what? Nobody wants me. That's okay. I'll go play baseball. But guys, good friend Tim Tebow has hung it up and announced his retirement from the New York Mets yesterday. To move on to bigger and better things. So I have been a huge Tim Tebow fan ever since he was on the Broncos and the Jets and the Patriots for a short time and the New York Mets. But guys, this leads to the question with his other opportunities. Is Tim Tebow going to make an NFL comeback? Or could he be going to Jacksonville to team up with his old head coach, Urban Meyer? As a coach.
I think he's probably just going to go into missionary, if we're being honest. He's finally married, so of course he's going to the missionary. But I don't know what's next for Tim Tebow. I would assume it's something with his religion. He might become a pastor. I could see Tim Tebow having a church, Sundays with Timmy. I would tune in for that.
Is that what the church's name would be? Hold on. You can't just breeze past that. Yeah. What's the name of the church Tim Tebow is going to be the pastor at that he's creating?
Well, the Church of Tebow, but Sundays with Timmy would be the service.
Sundays with Timmy? 2 services, like 9 and 11 o'clock? Are we?
I could see him going like real early, like maybe doing like a 7 and a 12. Something real inconvenient.
Something real inconvenient. He is a very inconvenient person.
I don't have much about Tim. Yeah, no, happy trails, Tim Tebow.
Yeah, I don't. I hated him when he was in college. I hated him partially because he beat Ohio State's ass. I mean, he gave us one of the worst ass whoopings I've ever watched as an Ohio State fan.
I did hate him.
He was just rough to watch because there's one thing getting your ass beat, but it's another thing watching a guy have a giant prayer meeting after he beats your ass. Like, you know what I mean? Like there was definitely an extra element Tim Tebow brought to the game and if I was a Steelers player when they lost on that Demaryius Thomas 85-yard slant in the playoffs 5 years back, that was one of the most electric things I've ever watched.
Oh yeah.
Ever. And that will be his greatest masterpiece ever. Good for Tim Tebow.
Jordan, it's bittersweet because I still thought, he was a really good player. Just never got a shot. But thinking back to it now, do you think he prayed though because of what he had to deal with at Florida? I mean, we've talked about that 41 players of the 121 are in jail from the team he won the national championship with. One has passed away in Aaron Hernandez, Percy Harvin. I mean, maybe he had to pray because of what he had to deal with. And I mean, I understand that if that was the case. I mean, that's the Pouncey brothers.
What if his team is way worse than we actually think he was, and he actually saved?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Probably. I think there's a real good chance that was what happened at Florida. And I also think there's a small chance that Urban Meyer might be recruiting him to Jacksonville to be a quarterback coach or be a different type of, offensive control coordinator or something. Get back to his football roots in the state he played. I think he will be involved. I mean, Urban Meyer already had a spot taken and then open within 24 hours because he hired a guy that was under a lot of investigation for racial remarks in Iowa. And then, they did their research and 24 hours later he resigned. So I'm sure that they could use a very good person, a man of integrity and good character in Tim Tebow. And I think there's a chance he goes to Jacksonville.
I think that makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like, when you get out of a relationship, you kind of do a rebound. You almost go the opposite of what your ex was. You go from one place to the other. So Jacksonville just got done with a maybe not the most morally upright coach. And now here comes Mr. Tim Tebow. He's going to be back to doing his little on the sidelines. I'm excited to see that. I would like to see Tim Tebow back with Urban Meyer. That will make Jacksonville a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's no way he hires Tim Tebow because, I mean, if you guys think that Urban Meyer's this incredibly upstanding man, you'd be absolutely right. And nothing's ever going to go wrong down in Jacksonville. So having Tim Tebow there makes sense. No, he's not going to be there. He's not.
Well, you know what would make it even
He's
better
not.
if he went to Jacksonville?
What?
Would be if Jacksonville got a primetime game on Fox and we got to listen to Joe Buck and Troy Aikman broadcast that game. But guys, we found out this week via Yahoo Sports, Joe Buck admitted to drinking tequila in the booth with Troy Aikman during broadcast. In fact, he has also drank different cocktails with John Smoltz during baseball broadcasts. And going back and listening to some audio, it seems like there's some games you can tell Joe Buck's having a little too much fun. What do you think about Joe Buck coming out publicly and saying, he has a drink every broadcast?
Every broadcast, just not for like the primetime games that end up
with Troy Aikman. It's apparently it is a glass of tequila.
Good for him. I'm actually surprised that they allow him that in like the broadcast booth. I'm actually more surprised about that than I am about him drinking. That doesn't surprise me. We've never really heard any like commentators ever drinking online, right? Or even like coming out and saying it. This is like the first time I've ever seen it in like sports. This has never happened. Mm-hmm. Do you think that he's asked them to bring alcohol on the set? You just think Joe Buck does whatever Joe Buck wants to do?
Sam, I'll let you take it first.
I like Joe Buck telling the truth here. It's very refreshing. Most of the time we just get smoke screens and we're supposed to believe that the announcers aren't having a few drinks during the Super Bowl. And finally somebody just comes out and says the truth. Yes, I'm having a couple drinks with my good friend Troy. Who cares what he's doing? Joe Buck is above the age of 21. We are past the 1920s, the Prohibition era. We're into the 2020s. People can booze away. I mean, you have booze companies making billions of dollars every year from ads and whatnot. So I just appreciate Joe Buck telling the truth. And I don't know. I think he's a fantastic announcer. Whatever. Joe Buck, keep drinking away. That's all I have.
Jordan, to answer your question, I think that Troy Aikman brings the alcohol, and they're not going to tell Troy Aikman, who's the color commentator, a Hall of Fame quarterback, and has a couple rings. No, you can't do that because, let's be honest, you're not going to do that to a guy that caliber, whether you like him or not. I don't mind this at all. In fact, Joe Buck's one quote said he does it to take the edge off, to remember he's broadcasting the game. That's all it is. And that's what a lot of people forget when we talk about sports. And, the people that are so wrong to issue death threats to an athlete that makes a mistake. It is only a game. It's not life or death. I know we're very, close with sports. We relate to it so much, but I have no issue with this. I think it's kind of badass. And I wouldn't be shocked if there's other people that do it. It's not like he's getting hammered. He's having one drink. It's just. Well,
I think that's the problem. I think he should. You know how much more fun the game would be? Like Snoop Dogg announced the game the boxing match a couple weeks ago, lit as hell, and it was so much fun. They've rehired him for like more boxing matches. I think Joe Buck needs to let loose. Maybe unbutton a couple buttons like you have. Clearly, take a couple lessons from you.
Well, honestly, they let Bill Walton do Pac-12 basketball games. He's like on shrooms or acid or something. You can't tell me he's not. I mean, he is. He literally talks about how he used to do drugs at UCLA. He's let's let him have it. And honestly, there is money to be made right now by having a different broadcast where you can say whatever you want. You can talk about betting during the game. You can drop expletives during the game. I think it would be. I think this is something that hasn't been done yet, and you know what? Maybe we're gonna have to pick up on. But I have no issue with Joe Buck drinking during the game. And whether you like Joe Buck or not, guys, he is one of the best at what he does in his profession. The man literally does Thursday night football games in the fall, flies and does World Series games on Friday and Saturday, and then we'll fly back to do a broadcast on Sunday for the primetime 4:00 game on Fox. And if the World Series is still going, he'll do the game Monday. I mean, the guy is literally traveling nonstop to do his job, and he's good at it, whether you like him or not. I still hold a little against him for his love affair over Kyle Schwarber and the Chicago Cubs in the 2016 World Series. But other than that, he is a true professional that's just having a good time.
Never a bad time for a good time.
Never a bad time for a good time. And guys, I do want to point this out, though, before we move to our final segment and Jordan's final segment, and most of our viewers and listeners' final segment.
It's a great segment.
Before I do that, and before I give you guys one more thing to think about, if you're listening and you've come this far and you haven't subscribed yet or liked this, do it. Just do it. Like, you're here. Do it. So you know when we go live. We have extra episodes posted. Like, we had 3 Radio Row episodes on our YouTube page. So just join in the fun, hop into the ball pit with everybody else, and let's keep this thing rolling. And before we ask the question, who has bigger balls, I have an honorable mention today, guys. I wanted to give a shout out to the LA health inspector who was caught on camera doing a victory dance after shutting down a brewery that should have stayed open. Guys, cameras are everywhere. I don't know what this person was thinking. Bad luck, though, Jordan?
Terrible look. Terrible look. She should have to go into like an elementary school. Just only second graders go to the gymnasium. They should all be allowed to take their lunch boxes. And for 10 seconds, go ham. That should be it. That should be your penance, as far as I'm concerned. I watched this woman dance after shutting down a company on the Super Bowl. If anybody has seen the end of Game of Thrones, they know exactly what I'm referring to when I think all the, I think she has to pay in some shape or form. That's ridiculous. She was dancing. She was like dancing like Elaine from Seinfeld. Like it was awful.
Dancing on people's sorrows. I don't know where you get off as a human being doing that. I hope somebody dances on her grave when she passes away with good health. I don't wish anything ill upon her, but
with good health.
I mean, what a ridiculous thing to do. Seriously.
Oh, and be proud of it. It's one thing doing it. It's another thing being proud of it. Yeah, you see that guy over there? Yeah, his ass ain't feeding his kids tonight. You know why? Because I'm the man. Like, that doesn't make you the man.
She's the adult hall monitor.
Yeah. Yep. That's what it was. That's what it was. Just a bad look for her in general. And quick reminder, we had to go to Twitter to resolve who was the biggest balls winner of episode 26, guys. And for everybody that voted, thank you. Mm-hmm. Karen Lombardi, though, was the winner of who had the biggest balls for asking Tom Brady to apologize for throwing the Lombardi trophy. I just wanted to make sure we announced that if people hadn't seen it on Twitter. But Jordan, it's time.
It is, and I don't know if I set up the screen, so we're
Who has bigger balls?
Oh,
who has bigger balls? Oh, it's set up.
Gentlemen, you two will vote on this today, and if we are at a tie, I will sit this one out and let Twitter decide once again. So, here are your contestants for who has bigger balls in episode 27. Jordan and Sam, is it Larry King, who has passed away, for leaving an updated will on a scrap piece of paper saying to leave everything with his kids and not his wife/ex-wife who had not been finally divorced, after his deed of trust in 2015 was left in the name of his wife? So now his widow, is what we'll say,
yes,
is taking it to court to get back on the will that he had left her off of.
Good luck.
Or, guys, is it Tennessee businessman Bill Doris, who we all know a dog is a man's best friend, but his dog made out this time? Bill Doris, who passed away, left $5 million in the name of his dog.
Oh my God.
And
what type of
his
dog
family.
is this? It's very important.
I will. I'm going to do a little looking right here. But while I do the looking to talk about this, is it Larry King or Bill Doris? Both just leaving someone in their family out of money.
Well,
but who has bigger balls?
And I think one spot you missed on this that you told me earlier is that Larry King supposedly let his wife, like, put his wife on the outside of the will because she had sex with her son's baseball coach.
Little League baseball coach.
Little League baseball coach. So Larry has had 20, 30, 40 years to deal with this. Still hasn't apparently dealt with it. Well, he did deal with it technically. He just left her ass out of the will. Sam, what do you got?
It's 8-year-old border collie Lulu is the dog who inherited $5 million. I got to go with Larry King here as well. I think this Tennessee man's a bit of an asshole. Actually, you know what? I'm switching it up. I'm going Tennessee man for not giving his $5 million away to charity, to feeding the hungry. You know, we have 10% of the people here in America are suffering from food insecurity. We have people dying from COVID, and this man leaves $5 million to his dog. What's his name? Bill Doris. Bill Doris doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about society. He doesn't care about your future. All he cares about are his big balls. So.
Yeah, I think Larry King signing off for the last time for real this time. I think it's hilarious. I'd be okay with either person winning, but in honor of Larry King, in all the interviews I've watched of him, Larry, for the last time, you're signing off, and you do, in my opinion, have the biggest balls. Rest in peace, sir.
So another tie. Another tie that we're going to have to go to Twitter for, which means our viewers and listeners will decide on a poll on our Twitter page or just tweeting at us now using the hashtag #TheBallPit. If Bill Doris or Larry King has bigger balls for what they did as they passed away and who they left their money with, guys.
Yeah.
Just more of an entertaining bigger balls segment today because we are a sports and entertainment show.
We are.
And we're at the conclusion of episode 27. And I thank you for sticking with us, for making it all the way to the end, alongside
Captain Underpants.
And
I'm Sam Summers. Like and subscribe. I don't know why I'm yelling into my camera, but my mic's right here, so like and subscribe.
And I'm Mitch Ballot. Thank you for tuning in to Cover Your Balls. We will see you all on Tuesday for episode 28. We'll see you when we see you.
Captain Underpants.